Hello there, my RPG lovers, and welcome to another video. Gothic Remake came out on June 5th, and according to every major metric, the game was really successful.
Up front as ever.
It peaked at nearly 78k active players on Steam, which is really good for a AA single-player RPG. The reception for the game was also pretty good, especially on Steam, where it sits on very positive and Metacritic user score of 8.5. So, the future of this franchise seems really bright, and I would be shocked if we don't get to see even more remakes.
Let me guess. It isn't enough?
I recently did a video about the potential Gothic 2 remake, which is probably going to happen eventually. I also pointed out how we could get that remake much sooner than you might expect, so I recommend watching that video if you missed it. In this video, we're going to talk about what's happening with Gothic 2 remake after a month. Are we going to see some new content in terms of DLCs or even a major expansion, and what could that be? I have some theories I want to share with you.
It's a long story.
We are also going to talk about the current state of the game, patches, new updates, and so on. So let's begin with that, before we start speculating about DLCs, remakes, and expansions. Unfortunately, we have to start with some bad news. At the time of recording this video, Alchemia posted a brand new patch for the game. It's actually just a small hotfix that fixed the issues with the leak on audio channels that could block all audio, the bug with the dialogue camera not closing properly for some characters like Melvin, Raven, and Stone, and the fix for the Trial of Fire quest. I think Trial of Fire quest was bugged for a lot of people, so it's good to see that being fixed. That being said, the hotfix also broke some things for a lot of people, myself included. A lot of people are reporting the lack of sound for footsteps and some other similar audio issues. I tested this patch a little bit, and I also have this problem. I can't hear any footsteps while walking, running, or jumping. Even if I mount the scavenger, I still can't hear any footsteps while running.
Yeah.
So pretty much all footstep sounds in the game are not working in the current version. I personally didn't experience other audio issues with this patch, but people are reporting the lack of sounds in inventories, audio glitches, and some other problems, especially on consoles. Alchemia should really take their time with these new patches and make sure that everything works properly before posting them, it goes without saying.
Oh really? That's a shame.
I don't know what's going on with their internal testing, but your new patches and hotfixes should fix things. The actual 1.0.3 patch was much bigger and it fixed a lot of issues with the game. From crashes and stability improvements to buffing some strong monsters that felt undertuned. I'm yet to test some of those changes, so I don't know exactly how they feel, but it looks good on paper. Judging by a lot of comments I'm seeing online from console players, a lot of them are unhappy because of the bugs. And this new hotfix only made a lot of people mad.
Well, I can't argue with that.
However, the state of the game on consoles seems to be much better compared to the release version in general, despite the issues we mentioned. When the game released, it was capped on 30 FPS on all consoles. But in the meantime, it got some patches that introduced a 60 FPS mod and uncapped frame rates. So now the game looks way smoother on those performance modes, from the videos that I could watch on YouTube at least. But it seems like the game has some pretty bad screen tearing on consoles. I'm not sure if that's because of the performance modes or it's just in general, but it's definitely annoying. If you're playing Gothic Remake on consoles and performance modes, feel free to let us know how was your experience with the game so far. I'm pretty sure that Alchemia is going to continue working on bigger patches that will address these issues. Actually, one of the community managers confirmed this with a reply on Steam forums. But I personally didn't have a lot of bugs or glitches, and I have almost 100 hours in the game on PC.
Good for you.
I talked about this in my review. I didn't have any serious problems that would affect my overall gameplay experience. So it sucks to see new problems with the audio in the newest hotfix, and hopefully that won't happen again with future patches. That will be everything about the current state of the game. Now let's move on to another, much more interesting topic in my opinion. Bear in mind that the next topic has some speculations, but as always I try to keep everything as grounded and logical as possible. If we are going to get a big new DLC or even a full-blown expansion for the game, I have some ideas for what they might do. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see new content for Gothic Remake further down the line. This remake already introduced some brand new content and expanded the game quite a bit. I was a bit critical when it comes to some of that new content in the remake in my review. I had a lot of things to say in my review that's almost an hour long, and one of the points I made was related to this topic. The majority of new things in the remake are really well done, and I had a lot of praise for the game in general. But some parts of that new content felt a bit undercooked. Ironically, this was also the issue in the original game. Later chapters in Gothic had little to no side content at all, and Piranha Bytes left a lot of ideas unfinished. The remake improved and expanded a lot of those original ideas, making each chapter of the game quite a bit longer. They also expanded the base game in general by adding more options for the old content that was in the original game. They made some new content related to existing characters that didn't have much dialogue or quests related to them. One of those characters is called Quentin. Quentin and his band of rogues was the part of the cut content from the original Gothic. One small part of the cut content from Gothic, to be more precise. So Alchemia took this character and turned him into a leader of a new, smaller camp basically. But to say that this new camp is small would not do this place any justice. It's more about the content related to it or the lack of it. I won't show you where it is because part of the fun is to find it by yourself while exploring the game. I have to show you at least some parts of it in order to make a point here. When I first discovered this place, I thought it's going to have a much bigger role in the game, at least as some optional side content. And indeed, this place has a quest or two related to it, but that's about it.
Let me guess. It isn't enough?
It felt almost completely underused and unfinished in terms of the content you can do here. Which sucks, because it feels like a place where you should spend a lot more time and have a lot more quests here. I won't even mention the other quests related to this place because it's like a light spoiler, I guess, but that's about it when it comes to the content related to this very cool place. Very cool in terms of the geographical position, the visuals, and just the design in general. So this place would be my first major guess about the potential new content for Gothic Remake, as the location at least. I can easily see how they can add more depth to this place with a new quest line and some new side quests and characters. If we get new content for Gothic Remake, I highly doubt Alchemia will mess around with the main quest or the existing content in general. I think there is a much higher chance for us to see brand new characters and contents. If they would have to use old characters for some brand new content, they won't have a lot of creative freedom. Their hands would be tied in a way because all main characters in the game already have a certain role to play in the main story. It's not impossible to do this, but I think it would be way more challenging than just adding new content to the game. It would also be way easier to repurpose existing characters that felt underused, like Quentin and his bandits. The existing content related to this place cannot justify the size of it. I'm pretty sure that even Alchemia wanted to do something more here, so a DLC that would explore that option seems logical to me. I don't want to spend a lot of time speculating about the context of this potential DLC because who knows what it could be. But I think this place could be a perfect fit for some new content. As for my second guess about the potential DLC, or the location for it at least, it could have something to do with the new snowy zone. Exploring this place and doing the questline here was pretty fun, but once again, that's about it. It doesn't feel as undercooked as the previous area I mentioned, but I expected to see more content related to the zone. Maybe that was a bit too much to ask for, but once again, the size of this place is not proportional to the content it contains. So why not use it for even more quests or a potential DLC? Come to think of it, that would probably require new sub-areas within the zone. Again, that would potentially push this DLC to a full-blown expansion if they are making some new terrain for it and more assets. And if they decide to do that, they won't be limited with the snowy zone, of course, they would have even more creative freedom. But the snowy area is a brand new thing in Gothic, so why not expand it with some brand new content? If they actually decide to make a big expansion for Gothic Remake, it would be hard to even speculate about that, because it could be anything. But one thing is for sure, it would be a pretty big deal. That being said, I highly doubt they will decide to do something similar to Night of the Raven from Gothic 2. If Gothic Remake is your first Gothic game and you don't know what I'm talking about, well, Gothic 2 had this huge expansion called Night of the Raven. This expansion didn't only add brand new island in the game that's separated from the original map, but it also changed the base game quite a bit. It was seamlessly implemented in the base game, so you would not even notice that you're interacting with some characters from a DLC. As a matter of fact, the first time I played this game, I had no idea one of the first characters I met in the game was from a DLC. I would be very surprised if THQ and Alchemia decided to do such a massive expansion for Gothic 1 Remake. Speaking of Raven, that potential DLC could even be related to him, in order to set up the story of a potential Gothic 2 Remake expansion, or at least his particular part of the story. That would be very freaking cool if you think about it. A DLC that would explain what happened in between the story in Gothic 2 expansion and Gothic 1. It would make a lot of sense actually.
Just what I needed.
We could talk about these potential scenarios the whole day. But like I said, I try to keep it as grounded as possible, but I think all of these scenarios we mentioned so far are highly possible. Those would be my guesses about the DLC or a potential expansion, and I'll wait for some more info about this before we go crazy with this topic. That being said, I would rather see a simple announcement for Gothic 2 Remake than a DLC for the first remake. Having some new content for Gothic 1 Remake would be very exciting, but not nearly as exciting as Gothic 2 Remake announcements. In a perfect world, I would like to have both, but if I have to choose, I would go with Gothic 2 announcements. New content for Gothic 1 Remake would probably slow down Gothic 2 Remake development, but who knows, let's wait and see what happens. Here is some good news, we won't have to wait for long to get something related to the future of Gothic Remake and potential new remakes. THQ Nordic has a gaming showcase event on August 7th, and I would be surprised if we don't get any Gothic related news. I mean, Gothic Remake has the most screen time in their teaser trailer for this showcase, so it's logical to expect this. Like I mentioned before, it's a very successful game for THQ Nordic, their second most successful game ever actually. So I would love to see at least a very simple announcement that will confirm another remake. I talked about the potential Gothic 2 remake in greater depth in my previous video. However, I forgot to mention something very interesting in that video that could be related to more Gothic remakes. Alchemia actually changed the name of Gothic Remake to Gothic 1 Remake. That doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but it definitely could be. THQ plans to release a lot of Gothic ports for consoles. We already have Gothic 1 and Gothic 2 on Switch, and soon we're going to get Gothic 1, Gothic 2, and even Gothic 3 on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch 2. Gothic 1 Classic on consoles is coming out on July 28th, Gothic 2 Classic on September 29th, and Gothic 3 Classic is set to release on November 24th. One of the reasons why Alchemia changed Gothic Remake to Gothic 1 Remake is to separate the remake from Gothic 1 Classic on consoles, so there will be less confusion for people who are going to buy it. I can certainly see how someone could get confused here, but I don't think it's a strong enough reason for adding the number 1 in the title of the remake. Avoiding confusion regarding potential remakes of Gothic 2 and Gothic 3 further down the line makes a lot more sense to me. I don't know, you tell me. Regardless if this is true or not, we have a lot of reasons to believe that Gothic 2 Remake is going to be a thing. Once again, I highly suggest watching that video I mentioned in the beginning if you want to learn more. I think I made some pretty strong arguments there. We're getting something on August 7th for sure, but we'll have to wait and see what exactly. Anyway, tell me your opinion about all of these topics we talked about in the comments below.
Thanks, man. You just made my day.
What's your opinion about the current state of the game and some potential new content for Gothic Remake? Do you think we are getting a new DLC or an expansion, or would you rather like to hear an announcement for a new Gothic Remake? Let me know. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content like this. And if you want to go a step further, consider supporting your boy by becoming a YouTube channel member or a Patreon. Huge thanks to all my current supporters, and I'll see ya in the next one.